Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Lots on the docket today. I'd like to get hatches up and running. I am not sure if we'll be able to. We will see. We also have a lot of exploring to do, a lot of the research tree to go through. So let's get to it. We've gotten a couple of skill points, and this is great because it's going to help us get to the business at hand. For Hound, we want him to get into critter ranching, and unfortunately, that starts with improved farming 1. So we'll go farming into critter ranching, and as soon as that is done, we'll be able to get our hatches up and going. Over on Optimus, well, his life is all about digging, and of course, we need to be providing our friendly hats. Next up, I think we're going to go with the brute force refinement. Eventually, we want to get up to the automatic dispenser just in case we find any hatch eggs. It's a good way to be able to collect all your hatch eggs without being able to ranch quite yet until you get that Critter Ranching 1 skill upgrade. I think it's time to do a little bit of exploring and a little bit more digging, and I think we're going to start by just going straight up. I think this is going to be good. We've gotten... Optimus can now dig through granite, so it's definitely going to help our exploration. Plus, we need to sort of carve out our little areas for... Plus, we need to carve out area for our future base. In order to save our farmers a little bit of time, we put a storage bin here. I'm going to put some dirt down, and that way old Hound and Trailbreaker don't have to go all over the map just to find dirt. Convenient storage bin right there, and they'll be able to quickly resow the mealwood. We're also going to be expanding this tank a little bit. We'll probably lower it by at least 3 to 4 tiles. Additionally, I want to be able to drop this water tank into this one. So we're going to core this out a little bit, probably put some nice walls up for it, and give it a lot more room to be able to collect water. Which, by the way, it is cycle 7. We still haven't dirtied up our water. Back to research, since Wheeljack has already completed smart storage. What is up next on the docket? I think we'll go plumbing into air systems. After that, we'll probably go straight down to flow direction and then distillation, and probably over to liquid tuning. It's easy to click, for instance, flow redirection once, and they'll knock out sanitation and flow direction. And likewise, when we click over on liquid tuning, they'll knock all this out as well. We're about ready to break into this little carbon dioxide area. All the way down here, we've left a gap in the floor, and that way we have a carbon dioxide sink. So for the next probably 100 cycles, we won't do anything with our carbon dioxide, and it'll just pool down here. Based on where we are in the map, I have decided that I think our expansion should be more to the north. And so we're going to be digging all this out, and I think this is where we'll start with our nice little hatch farms. Alright, we've expanded our tank a little bit. I think we're okay with dropping this tank in. First thing we need to do is put a tile here, and that way the water has no choice but to go down this way. Here it comes. Splash! Well, that's taking a couple of cycles to drain. We added a couple of storage bins down here. The first one is for polluted dirt. The second one, we're going to put some oxalite. So anytime during the course of this playthrough that they find oxalite just naturally on the map, they're going to put it into this storage bin. And it's convenient because oxalite is so much easier to use. When you're starting rocketry, you can just throw a couple pieces of oxalite in the cabin of your rocket, and voila, you have oxygen for your dupe. Okay, Wheeljack is just ridiculous. He's already burned through all of this research in just a matter of a couple of cycles. I know we want temperature modulation because I want to start putting insulated tiles in soon. But first, we need to get a flower pot. In fact, since we're here, we might as well just do one of these. Yeah, we'll just click here. And the reason why we want a flower pot is because right now, this is only a mess hall. And the difference is, we need a decor item that is a plus 20 or above. And with the flower pots, we can make that happen. And turn that plus 3 morale to plus 6, as the bonus is from the Great Hall. And this is always how it happens. I want to sweep all of this water up and be able to put it in our beautiful tank. But right now, if we click water, it highlights it all because water is the only thing we've discovered. So just as soon as we somehow figure out what polluted water is, it would naturally by default, since we didn't click all, but it kind of selects it for us, polluted water would be in this too. and then we would dump polluted water and all of its nasty germs in there. But alas, we're not going to do that this game. It is cycle 12. We still have clean water. Look at the big guns on Travaldo. +9 excavation. He's handy, so he has that construction bonus. And his only negative is he's not real good with art. You know what, Travaldo? Welcome. Welcome to the team. Except your name's not going to be Travaldo anymore. Welcome to the team, Ironhide. As we were throwing our skill point in for Ironhide, noticed that Trailbaker had gained another skill point. Great news. We are now into critter ranching and we can start our hatches. We're throwing down another cot, and I figured since we're starting to get more dupes, we'll throw down the third outhouse and the third wash basin. It's not going to be for too much longer though. As soon as we have a couple more techs and a little bit more dupe labor time, we are going to throw in our hard shell bathrooms. We have plenty of water to get it charged up and primed, and more importantly, we have Thimbleweed to dump the excess polluted water into. Okay, Hound, how... Really? Let's, that's an awesome pause. Hound freaking out from falling from one tile high. Alright, buddy, what are we gonna do for you? This is probably the quickest. We'll throw this on a priority 9. Get to work, Hound. He's got plenty of oxygen, and he's eaten recently. So he's not in too much danger, but... Trailbreaker, how did you get sick? Hypothermia? Oh, I suppose from going into the water too much? Extreme internal temperatures. I don't see any extreme internal temperature causing environments. Yeah, nothing. I suppose it's just from swimming in the water. We have the framework up for our first hatchery. Standard design, 2 critter feeders with 2 storage bins, the critter drop-off, and the grooming station. The reason why you use 2 critter feeders is because hatches, when they're eating the stuff that we're going to feed them, you know, primarily the igneous rock and the such, they eat a lot of it. And so, until you get full automation up, it's better to have the 2 critter feeders, and that way they can always stay full, and it'll be less work for your dupes constantly having to go back and forth. We also threw another couple storage bins here because as it stands, all this stuff is going to be eaten by the hatches. So in order to save it, we can sweep it up. I have no idea how it happened, but somehow the hatch got stuck up here. We may even, we're probably just going to deconstruct this tile and rebuild it once the hatch falls off one way or the other. But my guess is as soon as the tile was complete, the hatch was in mid-jump. And so, the hatch just got kind of pushed up. Alright, the dupes are hard at work picking up all this mess, so I think it's about time to start throwing some hatches in there. And I know we have plenty all over the place. They're normally easier to find at night, but I suppose we can just do one of these big numbers and sweep everything. Found you, you slippery little suckers. Now, to start off, we're going to be feeding the hatches sedimentary rock. For those of you new to hatch farming, hatches, when they eat sedimentary rock, are more likely to lay an egg of a stone hatchling. And the reason why you want to make stone hatchlings is because they can eat igneous rock. And igneous rock, well, that's just plentiful. Because the hatches eat so much, you want them to be eating something that you're going to have plenty of. And igneous rock, we will be able to have an infinite supply of. Namely, because we have a magma biome with a bunch of molten hot magma that, when it's cooled down, creates igneous rock. Additionally, we also have a volcano and a minor volcano here, which are also both going to produce magma, which when cooled will make igneous rock. Theoretically, we could stay in hatches forever. I've never seen one of these teleporters actually spawn with something else in the room. It's kind of a new room look. The doors also look a little different. The new gravitas doors. Let's go ahead and inspect it. Sadly, nothing to find. If you're a newer player, always click the inspect, what they call point of interest buildings. And the reason why is you eventually will unlock quite a story. And the story is pretty good. It's not necessarily very deep, but it does have a little backstory when you learn how duplicates were created, etc., etc. So I highly recommend inspecting everything you see. Gotcha. Look at this. I don't even know where we found the polluted water, but we have it. And luckily for us, no polluted water got in there, and our tank is still clean. This is some sort of new record for me. 16 cycles in. Now we can safely mop up all this water and this water, and we will know that only clean water is going into this tank. All right, now Hound finally got his critter ranching one, changed his hat too. He'll be happy once he puts that new hat on. But this brings up a good point about the priorities. We want to make sure that Trailbreaker is able to do some of the ranching, but we want him to be prioritizing doing the farming, and vice versa. We want Hound to prioritize doing ranching and also do some farming. So I think this is a good way to set it up for now. I will keep an eye on it though. It may make more sense to do it this way. In fact, I think this does make more sense, and I think we will keep it this way. And that way, Hound and Trailbreaker are doing their primary responsibilities, ranching and farming. Then they're also doing their secondary duties before they're doing all the other stuff like digging and building. Well, we've already hit the 7. Now, technically, you can go up to 8 critters before these hatches get cramped, but it's good to keep it at a 7, and here's why. Because they will lay eggs, and before you can go and grab the egg, they'll then have the cramp debuff. So you kind of make that problem a little bit easier by only putting 7 in at a time, and that way, when one of them lays an egg, it becomes the 8th, and they're still not quite cramped. And by example, you just saw that hatch lay an egg. This hatch is still happy, not cramped, and that way they stay producing much more efficiently. Speaking of which, though, we need to have a place to put our eggs. Not only that, we also need to set up another hatch farm. There we go. Looking very nice here. We'll also do the same sweep command here. When all these hatch farms fill up, and we get the starvation ranching going, and we start eating our hatches for food, you can kind of predict that each hatch farm will be able to support 5 duplicants for food. Additionally, they're also going to give us a ton of coal. We're already up to 20 tons. When our power requirements increase, we'll get started on using coal generators. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do that now? You can see this oxygen diffuser has not been on, and it's because they're too busy to be running on the wheel. So yeah, we will definitely start a coal generator. But here's the key. You got to be careful where you put them. A common mistake right now would be put a coal generator right here, which would then heat up all your planter boxes. And until we get those hatch farms going and up and running and feeding our dupes, we need this mealwood to survive. Ooh, we just found another hatch. I still think this is the best place, so I think what we're going to do is just insulate all of our mealwood. And then we can put the coal generator down here. We can insulate it as well, and that should be good enough to keep the heat from affecting our mealwood. Now, over time, it will heat up the entire area, but it'll take a very long time for the heat to go all the way down this hall, up, and then into here. It's difficult to see because there's a bunch of sand and everything in the way, but I've never seen a shine bug trust. I wonder if we can drop them off, because normally you have to use the airborne critter bait to move them around. Shine bug and shine nymphs. Let's see. You see something new every time you play this game. I have no idea how that functionality works. Is it because they were in a stable? Well, no, because this is not a stable yet, because this tile hasn't been completed, so you'll notice this room is not a stable yet, because it's one tile too large. That's why you put the little corner block here. Why were we able to truss shine bugs? Can we do it again? Cannot wrangle. Well, I disagree, because we just did it. I'm debating on old Meep here. First, he's a Meep, right? So he gets extra attention just for being a Meep. But he's got 11 construction plus early bird and he's handy. So he's going to start with a 14 construction. I don't think we can shake a stick at that one. Welcome to the team, Ratchet. Now, Hatchet's gonna go into building, and the devs have given you a reason on why you want to have dupes into building now with the demolition skill. It's the only way to get rid of gravitas buildings unless you use a mod. So, Ratchet's gonna be our primary builder. Ratchet has an early bird trait. We need to put him on a schedule where he can work the entire morning. Alright, so we've added shift 3 and shift 4, and we will throw Ratchet down on shift 4. And that way, because eventually we will add another block of downtime, and it still will not impact the early morning working. With more dupes, though, we need more mealwood. So let's set up another bank of 5 mealwood. Perfect. I've been completely forgetting about the mess table situation here. Let's make some more room here. Wheeljack completed the research for the incubator. So we are ready to put some incubators down for use in our beautiful hatcheries. But we need some refined metal. In these early parts of the game, in order to do refined metal, we need the old rock crusher. Here's the example. Because we haven't gotten rid of multiple eggs, you can see there's 2 eggs in this tile, they are now cramped. So their reproduction rate falls by 100%. To offset this until we get the incubators, we could just move the eggs around from different storage bins or whatever. But it's just as easy to scoop up a couple of these hatches and put them into this farm. In order to do that, you just increase the priority on one of the drop-offs. And then we'll wrangle a couple of them up. Alright, they've completed the insulated tiles here, so I think we're good to put down the ye old coal generator. Now, we won't be actually using the coal generator until we get the smart battery. Go check out the old research, click on sound amplifiers, we're almost there anyways. But this way, the coal generators, we can hook up to automation and they only come on when we need the power. Otherwise, the coal generator will just run full bore. Of course, Wheeljack's already completed smart battery research. So we can go to the rock crusher and start churning out some copper ore. And that way we can get our incubators and our smart battery going. Let's say 30 to start. Alright, our beautiful coal generator is in. Our smart battery is in. Connected by the automation wire. And we have it set on 90 and 60. So when the power level on this battery gets to below 60%, coal generator turns on until it gets to 90. This storage bin is going to keep the coal, and that way when the dupe does need to reload the coal generator, he'll have all the coal right there for him. Now we can stop Ironhide from running all day. We're also going to take out this jumbo battery, because while it does give you more capacity, jumbo batteries, if you remember, leak power. Smart batteries don't. Right now, we're collecting all of the stone hatchling eggs that we can get our hands on, which the more they eat this sedimentary rock, the higher this probability that they lay a stone hatchling egg goes. So over time, there'll be even more stone hatchling eggs, and we'll keep making incubators till we get at least 3 of these hatcheries going. This will be support for 15 dupes. I don't want to add more right now. Quite labor, we just don't have the labor to manage them. And I don't want to spend the wasted dupe labor building something for us not to be able to use it. So for right now, we'll just keep on the 3 hatch farms. Now, what do we do with all the other hatchling eggs? Right there into the egg cracker. This is the best way to do it when you haven't set up the drowning chamber or anything like that yet. That way, these hatches continue to reproduce inside their stables. Now the question is, who do we make our temporary cook until our real cook comes along? Think it's gonna be Trailbreaker. Remember, Trailbreaker had that +3 to cuisine, so he is the natural fit. Well, now you're a cooker slash rancher slash farmer. Congratulations, bud. You made it. And what are we going to make? Well, we're going to make all the pickled meal. That way we're cooking the meal lice. It gets rid of the germs on it. And all the barbecue. In addition to that, as soon as we have our first raw egg, omelets should pop up as well. Oh, yeah. Omelets forever as well. I think we can safely get rid of 2 of these 2 rows of our mealwood. Hey, we're already up to 73,000 calories. Most of it is muckroot, but I don't want to create so much food that it just sits and spoils because we don't have the technology or the means to be able to deep freeze our food yet. So I wanted to provide a little bit more of the hatch math. Hatch math is important because you need to know exactly how many hatches it takes to run exactly how many dupes you can feed. There's a few important things to realize about this when you get them going. Now, right now, these stables are not going to be full because we're transitioning them over into stone hatches. But what you do, we'll pause it here so it's easier to click on a single hatch. This hatch's reproduction is at 98%. When it hits 100%, this hatch will lay an egg. And you can see in the tooltip here, the change per cycle is 17%. That means every single cycle, this hatch gets 17% closer to laying an egg. When you do that math and you pull it out, it ends up being 5.88 and a bunch of other numbers, right? So we can just say 5.88 for the easy math. That means every 5.88 cycles, you can expect a healthy and well-groomed hatch to lay an egg. Now, right now, we are working omelets. We're working omelets because we don't have a drowning chamber and the conveyor system and automation that would make it easier to do a little drowning chamber for the hatches. And plus the egg cracker seems a little bit more humane, no? Well, when you stick a hatchling egg into the egg cracker, it turns one egg into a 1,000 grams of raw egg. So 1 kilo of raw egg. Well, the electric grill can take 1 kilo of raw egg and turn it into 2,800 calories. Is another key number. So now we have the 5.88 and we have the 2,800 calories for the omelets. Well, we know we're trying to run 7 critters in each hatchery right now. So here's the math. Every 5.88 cycles, we will be able to turn 1 egg into 2,800 calories. So we take the 2,800 calories and divide it by the 5.88. That gives us 476 calories per cycle. Knowing that it takes 1,000 calories to feed a normal dupe, you now can start to put together the math of how many dupes you can feed. For instance, in these hatches where we're running 7 hatches, we can then put the numbers together that says, hey, 7 hatches times 476 calories per cycle per hatch is 3,333 calories. That means we can feed 3+ dupes on a single hatch farm running omelets. Now we can get this a little higher once we have automation set and we'll have the conveyor system and the eggs will be transported easier and there's no delay from the eggs being removed from the stable. We can then bump this up to 8 critters. So then all of a sudden, instead of running 3,333 calories every cycle, we'll actually be running about 3,800 calories. Now that's just off of omelets. When you turn that into barbecue, you do the same sort of math. Instead of the eggs getting cracked open in the egg cracker, well, the eggs hatch, and then the hatch dies and produces meat. When you turn all that in math into it, the long and short is, with 8 critters in here, all producing eggs who all eventually hatch, you can support about 5 duplicants per hatchling stable. So running omelets in the early game, 3 to 4 dupes. Using the drowning chamber in the mid game, you're looking at more like 5 dupes. I feel comfortable running up to 10 dupes once these are fully populated with 7 hatches each. we're not powering through that. We're waiting for the stone hatchlings to populate each stable. There's other ways to populate these stables too, is I could have just produced all the hatches. I could have let all their eggs hatch and populated all these farms and then slowly start to transition in them. I didn't want to do that for the simple reason we don't have a ton of sedimentary rock. What sedimentary rock we have is left in here. So these stone hatchling eggs are pretty important. You can see it's doing decent though. Each hatch is at about a 35% chance to lay a stone hatchling egg. And it will go up each cycle that they eat more sedimentary rock. Now, of course, there is plenty of sedimentary rock around this map, and we could go get it. But for right now, this is easy. We just keep loading up incubators with stone hatching eggs, and we'll populate them that way. Some of the other math that I wanted to get into was the coal. Again, by clicking on a hatch, you can see what they eat. Down here in information, this is all the items they can eat. And if you highlight over it, it annoyingly brings up this huge menu that is probably a little bit easier to see than the small table it presented before, but it kind of gets cut off by the screen. But in this menu, you can see, for instance, that a hatch will consume 140 kilos of sedimentary rock per cycle. This is the reason why we feed igneous rock to stone hatches. They eat 140 kilos per cycle, but more importantly, when you scroll down a little bit further, it tells you that it excretes 50% of that. So if they're consuming 140 kilos of whatever rock per cycle, that means they're producing 70 kilos of coal per cycle. And coal can be very valuable. You can run your coal generators off of them. You can produce diamond for it in the later game. We like having coal. Now, there are plenty of other ways to run hatches. As you can see, this list goes on and on about what they can actually eat. Most hatches you can feed regular food. For instance, a hatch will also consume 0.4 kilos of gristleberry. So if you wanted to grow gristleberries and feed them to your hatches, you could. Incidentally, when hatches die, they produce meat. And they will also eat 0.4 kilos of meat per cycle. There's lots of ways to run hatches, and they're very versatile based on what they can eat. All right, we were able to get our hatch farms up today. We're up to 6 incubators now. We have fresh omelets being made. We have a more efficient power delivery using the smart battery and the coal generator. We'll keep an eye on our coal for now. We're still going to be fine, but just until our hatches get in full production mode, where we know we actually have enough coal to run those coal generators for a little bit. Eventually, we'll also tap into this natural gas for power, too. Maybe in the next few episodes, we'll tap into this and start to utilize it. We won't be able to do it immediately, though, because it comes out at 150, which means we need suits, which means you need your oxygen set up, and we'll get to those. It's just, they're not very quick. I think the priority for the next few cycles is going to be food, making sure our hatch farms are growing. We also want to get our bathrooms up. We have a lot more to go, and by my estimate, a little under 1,975 cycles to go. So I hope you had fun. I know I did. Talk to you soon.